Hello everyone, I hope that you are doing fine. I would like to talk a bit about an interesting topic today about affair and cheating as a psychologically motivated flight response. Maybe you are the one who have experienced being cheated on. I hope not, but perhaps you have had this unfortunate and unpleasant experience, or you might have heard about someone with a similar experience. Well, infidelity has been an important topic since the beginning of the time, especially in strained and intrigued relationships, and it can make you feel emotionally devastated and in rage and grief. I remember one of my clients told me that it was a life-shattering experience and he felt like a complete idiot since it was the second time he was going through this with the same partner. So he found it very tough, feeling that he was not good enough, and it happened twice, unfortunately, and he felt that he will never get over this. If you can relate, you should know that you are not alone. I'm sorry that you have gone through this, but listen, it's not about you most of the time. I understand that this is extra tough and painful because this is kind of grief and pain that you really did not need or ask for experiencing, but you feel that you must deal with it and find a way to process it. But it might feel just too much or unnecessary or something unbelievably annoying and emotionally demanding to deal with. I understand. I think knowing that people have affairs because they are unsatisfied about something related to their inner world, about themselves, a part of themselves which make them feel inadequate or not good enough, will help us redirecting our healing path into a more constructive way. Let us take a look at the psychology behind affairs. In the context of psychotherapy, in many cases, we think that affair is a psychologically driven escape from an internal part of self, which contains feelings of fear, shame, insufficiency, or a part of relationship which, according to the person's experience, is not serving a good function and cannot compensate the emotional needs and cover them, and to fill the void inside. And we know also that childhood trauma affects the way you relate to others and manage your relationships. So infidelity is a topic which is deeply intertwined with our childhood roots of identity, who we are, which values we stand for, our coping mechanisms, attachment models, our sense of safety in relational spaces, our expectations, sense of self, our values, core beliefs about who we are and how we are able to tackle life, our viewpoints about people, our visions, goals, and so on. So you can see that this is not very easy to pinpoint a specific reason why people cheat. Childhood emotional neglect, traumas, and living in very demanding and conflictful home environment as core traumas are among strong indicators of having difficulties in regulating emotional experiences and needs during adulthood. Still, it does not necessarily mean that everyone with childhood trauma will end up cheating or struggling being loyal to their partners. So you might have noticed that I have several times across different topics mentioned that unresolved traumatic experiences and patterns will resurface later on during adulthood. If you have got, an insecure attachment model like avoidant or anxious type, then it will be more possible that you will have difficulty maintaining intimacy and emotional safety in your relationship. There is a type of affair, so-called exit affair, when people unconsciously escape from an exit door in relationship into another relationship because, as said, they want just to escape and enter into some new arena of relationship. Sometimes they don't even know why they do that, but if they have anxious type, they may do it to get a boost in their self-esteem in order to sabotage their relationship and escape from it without really being in love with the person who they have cheated with. Or if they've got an avoidant type, they may cheat in order to give an excuse to their partner to leave, such that they can get free. But free from what? The relationship. Also, they do not know why, and they don't have a conscious idea about that. So this is actually a very poor and destructive way to deal with an inner conflict. So when people don't see themselves capable of facing the truth and having tough conversations with their partner, they may choose an escape door. And there have been, many relationships which could be saved if the person had the courage and maturity to bring it up with their partner and express their satisfaction or feelings of fear and insecurity. Sometimes people may think that, okay, this new person will be the one who I have always needed and dreamed about. But after a while in that new relationship, they start feeling the same and say, oh my God, he or she is not the right person either. And a parallel interesting phenomenon is the fear of abandonment. The person who is fearful of being abandoned will perhaps take an action to abandon the emotional bond and relationship to prevent experiencing the abandonment later. And this can also happen in friendships and social relationships. But this is a pretty bad way of coping with fear of loneliness. In addition, emotional regulation skills are not well established if you have experienced childhood emotional traumas. And so, in many cases, initiating new love relationships and affairs is a consequence of a low capacity to containing, and to managing impulses after, for example, flirting or a temporary pleasant feeling which associates with safety and emotional intimacy for that person. So we can see that cheating, at least in many cases, as a regulation strategy, like drugging, like self-sabotaging behaviors, self-destruction, or even overeating, and so on. So if we put this in such a way, then it makes sense to conceptualize cheating as a trauma response and as a result of reenactment of trauma patterns. So one of the important things to be aware of is that infidelity and loyalty concern the core beliefs and self-concepts, beliefs of ourselves as human beings, and the idea of who I am as a human being and the identity values. So it's quite complicated. If the relationship with the concept of security, safety, emotional warmth, and self-worth is not established based on a robust foundation, the requirements for building a safe relationship with another person will not be available for the person. And that makes sense for me, because it means that we have to be honest and authentic and available and loyal toward ourselves at the first place before we practice honesty, authenticity, and loyalty in a relational space and with another human being. Many who have affairs introduce it, as at least for themselves, as a way to seek freedom. But in fact, it is not only a failure and not a breakthrough for getting freedom, but it is also a way to make the hole of prison inside bigger, since as far as this empty space inside is not filled with compassion, with understanding and love towards self and reconciliation of the underpinning emotional needs and traumas, the person will not be able to feel what really freedom and safety is. But you should know that this is not your responsibility to help your partner to do that. It is her or his responsibility to be accountable and gain insight about own psychology and shadow sides. I'm not telling that you should not be, empathic, you should not be vulnerable and sensitive with him. No, I mean, if the idea of considering having an affair as an escape attempt and resonates with you, then you don't need to think that it was about you and your partner did that, use that choice because you were not good enough, or you are not the one who have cheated. Or if you are the one who have cheated, please do know that you have the chance to reflect and engage in your change or healing process. You have still the time, because you are perhaps disconnected from yourself, or that you are finding yourself in a very similar dynamics in your relationship, similar to the dynamics that you had in your childhood. So you perhaps unconsciously experience reenactment of your traumas again. I hope that this formulation does not give you a black or white picture of reality. I don't intend in mitigating the importance of the role your partner play in acting accountable to contribute to emotional safety in your relationship, because you perhaps may say that, okay, but I ran out, I did cheating because I could not stand constant criticism or withdrawal. That's correct that such experiences bothered you, so you, as mentioned, have been experiencing that. The shadow of same dynamics has been chasing you and making you stuck in numbness and resentment. I understand that, but still, this is not a good excuse to decide not to, daring to have tough conversation with your partner and just cheat on him or her. Sometimes an affair can be shaking experience, a wake-up call for some couples, while some other people cannot imagine living under safe roof with a partner who had an affair. And some other people will try to give a chance to their partner and go through the healing process and to redefining and reconsidering their commitment again. So cheating as a painkiller for strained relationships which do not function well is not the remedy. I hope my message gets to the people who need to hear it. Please share this message and interact with me and share your experiences. Stay safe. Thank you.